Please ignore this cord. This is very obnoxious, but it just sounds so much crispier and delicious when I use this microphone. People be buying these extra little ones from Amazon and all this. I'm like, this sounds so juicy, but the cord is an eyesore, so please ignore that. We are trying to get out of debt. I should not have gotten Starbucks. Let's be totally honest right now. Like, I 1000% just went out of my way to get a almost $7 drink when we are trying to get out of debt. So we're learning together. This is a journey, and I am not perfect, and I don't know that I have the willpower to just completely quit everything cold turkey, but we are trying. And I'm sorry, but I did have a rough week at work, so I have no excuse. I just really wanted it. I really just felt like I deserved it, and I got it. And that's not an excuse, but that's why I did it. Don't do it. If you're trying to get out of debt, don't be like me. But I also think there is a balance between having fun. Oh no. Hey, what is up? I wanted to go ahead and make this video, and I honestly don't want to have like a super long intro or anything like that, and just kind of dive in to the whole situation, and share a little bit about why and how I quit being an entrepreneur and working for myself and decided to get a 9-to-5 instead, and why that is a decision I never thought I would end up making, and literally swore that that's one thing in life I would never do, is work a 9-to-5 again, or quote unquote work for the man again. But here we are. So let's just dive right in, shall we? So this is not a video I ever thought I would be making, and I think past me would have been disappointed knowing that future me was going to be making this video. But past me also didn't know that me making this video is actually a good thing and can potentially be a very inspiring thing for somebody else watching out there. So obviously that's the goal of this anyways, is to maybe inspire somebody else who is or was in, or who currently is in a position that I was. Still trying to figure things out. That's kind of the point of this video. This channel is to help people share our journey with a lot of transparency, and hope that somebody else can be inspired or motivated to get out of debt, know what's out there as far as careers, and, you know, careers that are lucrative but also don't require a lot on your part as far as a degree, or things like that. So this is the first video I wanted to make, because what I was doing for a while was, I was an entrepreneur. I was doing like freelance digital marketing. And I will start with a little bit of a backstory. I don't want to make this super long. I want to spare you the nitty-gritty details, but there are certain details that I think contribute to the story, so you have a full picture of how I got to where I am today. And where I am today is not the goal, but it definitely is a few steps in the right direction. So again, hopefully it's going to inspire somebody else out there. So back in 2018, I was an intern at this church called Elevation Church. If you've been a Christian for 5 seconds, I'm sure you've heard of Pastor Stephen Furtick. I was doing what I felt was best for me at that time. And so I interned in 2018 at Elevation Church, quit my job. I had been a receptionist at an insurance agency for probably 2 or 3 years. So I was just really sick of it. It wasn't really going anywhere. I didn't want to get my license to be an insurance agent, even though my boss at the time had offered to sponsor me. Part of me looking back, I'm like, that was actually a really good opportunity, and maybe I should have taken it, but it's neither here or there. Here we are. This is where we're at in life, so it's fine. Interned for almost the entire year of 2018 at Elevation, and by the end of it, I was honestly a little bit relieved that I never got offered a job, because I think throughout that journey, I sort of realized like that's not really what I wanted, and I thought that's what I wanted, to be working at like a, for lack of a better term, kind of bougie church that has a lot of influence and impact. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I don't really think this is for me, so we're gonna not. So I did plan to stay there, and I had living arrangements. I had just gotten a job. I had just made the worship team, like volunteer, and I was excited. I was going to start a new chapter out there. Long story short, hit the fast forward button one time, not 2 times, because that'd be a little too fast. But I got a call from someone from my hometown. Won't say who, again, I'm just giving the details that are necessary. But basically, they were offering me a job and said, if you move back, essentially a lot of implications suggesting that that job was mine if I move back. So I moved back for that job. Went through, then everything just changed. The details started getting skewed, and it went from like basically implying in conversations that this is yours and how do we transition you into it to it's now being offered to somebody else. And now this is turning into a 4-month long interview process. And then I ended up not getting it. So for 4 months, I wasn't working. I wasn't doing anything. I was just still thinking I was going to be getting this job, ended up not getting the job. Now I'm back home. I just kind of gave up everything that I had back in South Carolina at Elevation, and that was it. So now I'm home, and now I'm feeling like I have no, like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, basically. Pause. You think you're hot, and I'm sorry, you're not exactly who you think you are. So now I'm back home. I think I was like 26 at the time. I'm back home, back living with my parents, had no job. And I also was really freaked out because I was getting off of my parents' insurance, and I was just like, I have nothing. Like, I don't know where I'm going in life. I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I've always wanted to do music or be in ministry. So I thought, be a worship leader. So I thought it was just like, those things were not working out. And then I also, after my experience in it wasn't a bad experience in internship. It wasn't a bad experience, but it just kind of made me realize, like, I don't know if this is actually what I personally feel like I need to be doing. So I just felt very confused. So within that time, there was a lady at my home church, and she was a successful business owner. She essentially took me under her wing, and basically threw me a bone and offered me, she helped me get my business license and threw me a bone and said, I will be your first client. Like, you are good at marketing, you are good at social media posts, and I want you to do the social media for my business. And then from word of mouth, it just kind of started to grow, like nothing outrageous, but enough to live and to survive and to live comfortably. Obviously, I was still living with my parents too, so it wasn't like, I didn't have a lot of financial responsibilities. And I enjoyed the freedom of it. I enjoyed being able to work when I wanted to work, where I wanted to work, and not have somebody like micromanaging me or having to commute somewhere, having to get dressed up to go somewhere every single day, do my makeup every day, look presentable. Oh, you're the face. Like, you got to answer the phones. But, when you're a receptionist, like, you got to look presentable. And so, or like any job for that matter that is in person, for the most part, you need to look presentable. So I really enjoyed it. I did that from 2019 to from like 2019 to 2023. I was doing my own thing, freelancing, digital marketing. I did like a swag business too. So I would make products, like swag products for companies, businesses, organizations, churches, whatever. And it was fun. However, I got married in 2021. Praise the Lord, hallelujah, amen. That was a dream of mine, and God answered that. And so got married, living on my own for the first time, and unfortunately living in an economy that decided to flip all of us off and say, freak you. So the cost of living was so much. My financial responsibilities went from pretty much zero to just, wow, I'm a full-blown adult now. Like, what am I doing with my life? And things were rough. Things were not easy. Can't say that they are yet, but we're getting there. So Joe Jonas, you're really distracting me right now. It's fun to be in business. It's fun to do your own thing. It's fun to be an entrepreneur. And I definitely could have used more mentorship and coaching for sure. I did not know everything, and definitely could have had more feedback and input to help me be more successful. But just what I was doing was not enough to sustain the cost of living in general when you're living on your own. And I was also like, you need money to make money when you have a business. You need money for marketing to a point. I mean, there are free ways to do things, of course. But I was really trying to build and scale my swag business, but I just did not have the capital to do so. So it was just like anything I made from that was putting away a good portion of it for taxes, and then going back into the business for the things you have to pay for, like the website, the membership, the ASI membership, trying to go to networking groups, things like that. Like those things do add up. Gas money, I would go and pick up my orders. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it all adds up, and it was just a lot. And so there was not much left over to go to just actual life and living. I was really sick of it. I was really freaking sick of just living like this, feeling like I'm working my tail off to try to make something happen. And I feel like it just gets harder and harder every day. I was wearing so many hats. You know, again, when you're doing your own thing and you're doing it by yourself, you're the marketer, you're the freaking graphic designer, you're the one who's picking up the orders, you're customer service, like you're everything. You have to literally do everything. And I just didn't feel like the return that I was getting was worth, like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze anymore for me. So I was just in a really low place, feeling kind of defeated. Again, just going back to that feeling I felt when I got out of the internship initially, where I just felt like kind of hopeless, kind of lost, kind of confused. Like I don't know where my life is going. I don't have a degree. I thought this entrepreneur thing was kind of for me, and like I can be a boss babe, and it's just like feels extremely hard right now, which I know is part of it for sure. But it just didn't feel like it was like there's hard that you know you're supposed to overcome and press into and lean into and overcome. I said that already. And then there's like a hard where it's like it's exhausting and your emotional and mental health is suffering, and there's just not a grace for it anymore. And I was in that type of hard. Like there just doesn't feel like there's a grace for this anymore, and I just don't even really want to do this anymore. And so I ended up coming across, I like to listen to a lot of YouTube videos and podcasts that are about like self-help, entrepreneurship, finances. And I love Anthony O'Neill. And I was listening to him one day. He had a guest on who was in a very similar situation that I had been in. This man, prior to getting into the industry he got into, was doing like a bunch of side hustles, barely making anything. He also, ironically enough, was a spoken word artist like at church, and he would travel and do that, which if you don't know what that is basically poetry that whatever. It's a really cool way to minister to people, and that's what I have done that for years at churches that I've been at. It's kind of like the spoken word girl, whatever. And I was like, wow, this man literally, like, we were both spoken word artists. Like, we're both out here working multiple jobs and feeling like I have no idea where I'm going in life. Started talking about this wonderful, magical world of tech sales or just the tech industry and how it completely changed his life in a year. In the span of one simple year, this man is, going from making trash to like 300,000 a year plus. And I was like, okay, how did you do that? And he was talking about how he works a job, like an actual just normal job from home, remote, and he's making this kind of money. I was like, what the heck? This is not real. This does not exist. This sounds too good to be freaking true. He's talking about how there's a base pay plus commission. He's talking about how there's benefits and all of these things that I just wish I had, because I had, going back to the entrepreneur situation, I had like terrible health insurance. For a while, I didn't even have any. I don't think, like, it's bad. And I had some health issues come up, and I ended up just owing so much to the freaking hospital, and just like, I can't take this anymore. Like, it was just another layer of just pain, and like, why am I doing this? I don't have health insurance. I keep getting sick for some reason. I have to pay taxes. They're always coming for me. They're oppressing. The IRS is freaking oppressive and oppressing small business owners. I just can't even afford it. Like, it was another thing. So knowing that he's making all this money, he has benefits, he has a 401k, he's got like uncapped commission and a base pay. Base is like a salary. I said, what the freaking heck is this? And on top of that, he didn't even have to have a degree to do it. No degree necessary. Wow. I was like, that literally just describes everything I want and everything I don't have. I think I should get into this. So I started researching getting into tech sales, and that was October of 2022 when I first found out about this world and started researching and apply. Like, that's a whole other video of how I actually got into tech. But finally, I started researching in October 2022, and I finally broke in to tech in March 2023 this year. And I will say, I think I could have broken into tech a little bit sooner if I had done a boot camp. I did not do a boot camp, contrary to what most people do and how they break in. I did not do a boot camp. I actually got paid to get into tech, which is really cool. Again, I can make another video if you guys are interested to learn more about that. But now I have been in this world of tech sales for about 6 months, and it's not easy all the time. I'm not even going to like lie or paint any picture, but I love it. It gives me a sense of purpose. And also a sense of security, which I love. If I could tell myself back in 2018 or 2019, whatever it was, when I had no idea what I was going to do, I wish I could freaking tell myself this when I was 20 and I really didn't know what I was doing with my life to get into this. Because is it everyone's dream job? No, like most companies you are cold calling, and it's not necessarily like fun and pleasurable, but it does make you a stronger and better person. And I think the rewards are far greater than the fear of rejection or the uncomfortability. Is that a word? The uncomfortableness, the uncomfortability of it. The reward just completely outshines and outglorifies any part of it that might be uncomfortable, is what I'm trying to say. And I wish I knew about this industry sooner, and I wish I had done this years ago, but it's okay. This is where we're at. I am hopeful for the future. Obviously, like, I think that God gave me an entrepreneurial type spirit, but I know that this is not the time for that, and I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. You know, being with a job that has a base salary plus commission, the part of me that is an entrepreneur and likes to like be competitive and go for things, really feeds into the commission aspect, because you can essentially make however much you want to make. It depends on how much you're willing to put in. And so I feel like my sort of hustle muscle was built in the last few years of working for myself. You know, definitely not perfectly, but I think lots of transferable skills. And so if you have transferable skills, if you feel like you are confused, if you feel like you do not know what you should be doing, I would just encourage you to at least explore this world of tech. And if you're like, I'm not a salesperson, I don't like that type. Well, there's other roles you can do. There's software engineer. You can take a course and learn that. There's coding. I mean, that's not really for me. I'm not technical whatsoever, but there's UI, UX design. There's so much. And I would just encourage anybody to at least research it. I'm not saying like you just need to do it. I don't care who you are. I'm not saying that, because I don't think it's for everybody. But if you're like me and you're in a place of feeling really confused, kind of purposeless, and like you really need money because this economy freaking sucks, you're trying to get out of debt like we are, this is a way to make a lot of money in a fairly short amount of time with, little to no experience, no degree. Of course, obviously some kind of boot camp or something. Like, I definitely think you do need to do that. It is possible. And the future feels brighter. The weight of the world is a little bit less on my shoulders because of this. I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but it does feel like, feels a little bit like it's changed my life and I'm just getting started. I just wanted to inspire someone, maybe not, whatever. And if you are interested in getting into any kind of tech sales or just the industry in general, I will definitely have some information in the description below. And also if you guys want to see a video about my exact journey of how I got into tech, because it was not the really conventional way of doing it, I would be happy to share that. But I hope that you have found some kind of inspiration in this, and know that if you're in a place, regardless of your age, you're not sure where you're going or what you're doing, or maybe it's you want to switch careers, but you feel kind of weird doing it because society says you just got to stick with one thing until you're 65 and then retire. That's not how life always works. And you just have to go with it. And if there's a door that looks like it could be an open door from God, you need to knock on it. So thank you for watching. Hope you're inspired. Would love to make more videos. If you have suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And God bless. Yeah. Peace.